This is The Power of Pages, where we review books that ignite your mind,
elevate your life,
and drive your ambition. And this episode, we are reviewing Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. You teased in a previous episode that you met Simon Sinek, and I actually don't know this story. So I'm intrigued, man. Tell me.
Being a leader means that you hold the highest rank. Leader means that others willingly follow you, not because they are paid to, but because they want to.
There's one specific thing that I wanted to talk about, which was dating. It's a book on leadership, but for those of you that want some dating gems.
The pessimists are usually right, but the optimists change the world. And like, you know when you have them conversations with people.
Say that again, man. Say it for the people in the back. Energy motivates, but charisma inspires. And looking at your organization, like, I see people that look inspired to work there. They look like they're part of the journey. Do you know what I mean? They're happy to be part of the journey, from my observation anyway. So it's like, it's nice to see, man. This was your pick.
Yes.
We read earlier in the year, or however long ago, his other book, Leaders Eat Last. Yeah. This book was written before that book.
Yes.
Why did you pick it now?
This was the book, well, firstly, it's been a while. I'm Mr. Fly. This is Ty. Yeah. So
always forget that one.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I got you. So yeah, I picked it. It was about a year ago we read Leaders Eat Last. Actually.
Okay.
It was about a year ago. Why did I pick this? Because it's time to read it, I think. You know, I like Simon Sinek, and I've actually, which we'll get into, things he speaks about, the golden circle, the concept. I'm one of the millions of people that have watched his TED Talk that he did. If you haven't, it's one of the most viewed TED Talks on YouTube about starting with why. Yeah. A friend of mine sent it to me a long time ago now, and it kind of, and it made an impact on me. And from that TED Talk, I've actually, when I've spoken to young people, or I've done some events, some we've done together, I've actually spoken about the golden circle and how I apply it to what I do and how it can be applied. So yeah, that's why I picked it, man. I think it was a good book to read. Okay,
cool. And you teased in a previous episode that you met Simon Sinek. Yeah. And I actually don't know this story. So I'm intrigued, man. Yeah. Tell me.
I mean, I wouldn't say met. My wife, if she watches these videos, she's mostly cracking up right now. We were on a train. We was in Notting Hill Station, and we're going down the elevator. And then I hear something, and you know when you see someone, more time when you see famous people, I kind of recognise them. You think you know them from somewhere, but I saw someone that looked a bit familiar. Didn't really pay no mind, kept it moving. Then I heard some guy go, Simon. So I turned around, and this guy is all like gushing, like, oh, Simon, like, da-da, can I take a selfie? So I said to my missus, like, I said, oh, look, that's Simon Sinek, like, da-da-da. Then she's seen him, the guy's taking a selfie. So as we're there now, he's coming down, we're on the escalator, he's walking down, I'm thinking, should I say something, should I not? And I'm like, I don't do the fanboy thing, I don't, but I said, he like, get me, it's Simon Sinek, the book's a big book, we've read his book. So then he's walked past, and I've gone like, Simon, he's gone, hi, and I think he's waiting for me to say his selfie. I was like, oh, I read your book. Then he's like, okay, and I was like, then we bopped off in it, so my wife started laughing, he walked off, and I was like, I don't know what to do, basically. So yeah, I wouldn't say met him.
You saw him?
I saw him, yeah.
You communicated with him briefly?
Communication, yeah. I tried to start a conversation, but he was trying to keep it moving. So then he walks fast, man. He walked fast onto the train, gone, boom, that was it. So yeah, I met him. That was a while ago. That was funny, man. It was quite embarrassing, I'm not gonna lie.
Nah, man, it is what it is. And I guess as well, like, he's had an impact in your life.
Yeah, yeah, facts.
Yeah, he's had an impact. It's simple. So it's like you want to at least say something to someone who's had a positive impact as well.
Yeah, I think without going into too much, normally if I've ever seen someone that's like famous or whatever, I don't necessarily ask for a picture, but I would like to speak to them. Do you know what I mean? But I think it was on an escalator going down, it didn't happen. But anyway, Simon, don't worry, I don't take it personal. When you watch this, I don't take it personal. We'll meet again.
And actually, I want to say something to the loyal subscribers and the loyal viewers, because this year we're leveling up the game, and for the loyal subscribers who are truly loyal, we've created a mailing list. So in the description box, if you want to join the mailing list, we're actually looking to get some of you to feature in some of our book reviews. So join the mailing list, and you can potentially receive more information on that. And also we're running an event this year, and if you'd like to come to that, you need to be part of the mailing list. So head to the link in the description, sign up, and we'll see you in person at some point later on this year. Yeah, that's what I have to say on that.
Yeah, that's all good, man.
Yeah, okay, cool. Right, let's get into the book.
Yeah.
It's about leadership, really.
Yeah, yeah. And how to be a good leader, or not even how to be a great leader.
Yeah.
Because, you know, some people are leaders because they're put in that position, but they can't necessarily lead. But do you see what I mean? So, and he speaks about that in the book, but he talks about how to kind of inspire people. So I kind of referenced it before. He speaks about the golden circle. Again, I'm not going to just watch his video for the full kind of, he does it. I'm going to try my best to do it justice. So he talks about on the outer part of the circle, you've got what, that's what we do. So every company can tell you what they do. They can tell you the product or the service that they sell, the job or function they have within a system. That what's very easy to define. You know, what we do is easy to define. The next one is a how. So they tell you how they do it. And what he said is they can tell you how they do it. How is often given to explain how something is different or better than the competition. So again, he uses Apple as a lot as an example.
Yeah.
So Apple, what do? They make technology, they make phones, X, Y, Z. How they do that, they make the iPhone, which is so much better than all the other phones. That's what they tell you. Now, where the actual impact is, or where you're going to inspire people, which is also people that are going to buy from you and people that are going to follow you, as in that work within your organization, is via your why. Very few companies can tell you why they do what they do. What's your purpose, cause, or belief? So again, with Apple, they had their purpose, their cause, what they're trying to achieve and whatnot, and they just happen to do that via the Apple iPhone. So when you're buying the iPhone, you're buying it because you buy into why, the Apple's why. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. You buy into the Apple belief, because I believe their why was kind of going against the norm initially, like being a bit different, but also simplicity in their design. And I think touching on their marketing campaign with the iPod, there was actually a company that launched an iPod before them. Obviously, it wasn't called the iPod. Creative Technology released their model 22 months earlier, 22 months before Apple. But they said you can have 5 gigabytes MP3 player in your pocket. So yeah, you can have a 5 gigabyte MP3 player in your pocket. That's very much like a what function. Whereas Apple come along and said 1,000 songs in your pocket. It's like, that's more of a why. It's like people want to listen to 1,000 songs. They don't. Music lovers want to listen to, have access to 1,000 songs. But having a 5 gigabyte MP3 player, that's not really explaining, you know, why. You know, So Apple, obviously, we know, are a massive company. They blew up. Creative Technology, I've never heard of them in my life. And I'm sure maybe, I don't know if they're still going or whatnot, but Apple are, you know, multi-billion dollar company.
I think it's more so like, not to really touch on Apple too much, but it's a representation. When you see people before with the white headphones, it says something about the person. That's more so what it is. It's like, if someone has an Apple product, it says that they're trendy or they're cool or whatnot, and that's kind of the why that they build into. But you know, relating to other sides of organizations, you know, like with what we do and what you do, there's a why behind it. You know, there's a reason. So when you set up Love and Life, you know, what was your reason for doing that?
Helping companies to inspire their employees to live life better.
There you go.
That's it.
And then everything you do, when you do your talks, when you do every other kind of things, that's all leading into the why. And that's what inspires people. If you just say, oh, you know, I do talks, motivation talks, so what? No one cares. Do you know what I mean? But then when you say what you just said, okay, and we happen to do that by doing
different things,
different talks and whatnot. So yeah, man, was there any chapters that jumped off the page to you?
I mean, you said a second ago that you didn't want to just talk about Apple. But I feel like he talks about Apple a lot in this book. Apple is like his go-to. I kind of got bored of how much he was talking about Apple in this book. So, but yeah, there were lots of things that I want to talk about. Actually, there's one specific thing that I wanted to talk about, which was dating. It's a book on leadership, but for those of you that want some dating gems, he spoke about, you know, even on a date, having a why instead of a what. So he spoke about this guy called Brad on a date, and first date he was bragging like, I work for a tech company, you know, I earn loads of money, I got a nice car, and he was just talking about what, like, whereas he reframed it, or Simon Sinek, or Sinek, however you pronounce his name, he reframed it in a way that allowed a why. So he said, I get to wake up every day to do something I love. I get to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. And I get to earn a good wage doing it. So it's like he's gone from bragging to now giving a purpose to what he does. And it's much more attractive on a date. And I like that, because it was like, it's taking business and applying it to everyday life.
Yeah.
And I think, even though we do read a lot of like business type or self-improvement books, but a lot of it, regardless of the genre, can be translated into everyday life. So this is a leadership book, really. But
I think what he mentions in this is that whole function, the golden circle, it breaks down how your brain works. So it's more than just, it's more than, because leadership isn't only in business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So just because you're a leader doesn't mean, just because there's other leaders that are not working in business. Do you see what I mean? So even within a family house, within friendship groups, within whatnot. So that whole concept, as in the golden circle, it filters into other areas. It's about like building trust, because again, he's got a chapter on it about like, if people know your why, so even as a leader or as a parent, as a partner, as a friend, if they trust you, if you build trust, if you just with a friend and you just bragging, well, I do this, that, and the third, it's not really there's nothing you can really relate to in that sense. But if you can kind of speak about why you do what you do, people are going to trust you because you're being genuine and honest about whatnot. So it's more, yes, it's maybe a business book, and he does talks with business leaders and whatnot, but he does also stress that it's not just being, you can't just put it to business only.
Yeah.
You can also put it to, it's the way your brain functions within everyday thing.
Yeah,
so even like teachers in the school, you might have a teacher that just barking orders at you. You might not like or trust that teacher. However, if there's a teacher that takes time to relate to you or takes time to tell you why they teach, like, sir, why are you a teacher? And they tell you why. They're being vulnerable with you, they're being open with you. You're going to definitely relate more to that teacher. Do you see what I mean? So it's not only about, it is a business book, but then at the same time, it's not.
Yeah. I think if we put it down, it's about inspiring people. It's about inspiring people in a leadership way. Like you're the leader. Like you said, if you're in the classroom, it even could be a football manager, a coach. There's lots of examples where you would be leading a group of people. One of the things he says is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I love quotes like this, because this reminds me of the quote from Matt Crabtree's book, Full Time to Fulfilled, where he says, you aren't what people think, you aren't what you think you are, you're what people think you are. And anyway, that quote just reminded me of that. Like, people don't buy what you do. Like you said, I deliver workshops. Okay. Well,
Exactly.
But okay, I deliver. I help companies inspire their employees to look after their health and well-being, and to collaborate better and to work more connected with each other. That's a why, isn't it? You know
and
what
I think you start with why.
Yes.
So, like literally, like that's you start with. So if someone, we with one of our friends like Ryan. He'll be on a show at one point. He spoke about when he was doing he was in like a business forum, and then they asked him what he did or whatnot, and he wasn't happy with the answer he gave. So he said next time he's going to give a different answer. So it's like, it's part of storytelling. So you start with why. So when you meet someone and something, you start, I do this. When I talk about FFLY Youth and what I do and what our aim is, you start with there. That's more engaging. Yeah. People before say, we do boxing. That's what, okay, I don't care, I don't like boxing. People don't like boxing, that's fair enough, but if I start with why, and I say, I saw a need in my area, I wanted to replicate what I had when I was growing up, X, Y, Z, my whole story, people buy into that. And we happen to do boxing. Yeah. Oh, okay, I can understand, it links up. So that, again, start with why. Like, it's quite simple.
He talked about a job role that that a guy put out, hiring people using why. Yeah. And I really like this because he goes on, a lot of job roles just kind of go on what the job structure is, what you got to do in the role, but not actually giving the purpose, the why behind the job. and he talked about a guy called Ernest Shackleton.
Yes, I remember.
And he was hiring.
What chapter was that? Do you remember?
Chapter 6. And he was hiring them for like an adventure to go on some crazy expedition or hazardous journey, hike. And he put in the advert what people should expect. So he said, the ad said, men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter coldness, long months of darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. So it's like someone who reads that, you're really attracting that person.
Yeah.
People who are not, if you put in some...
If you're not on that, you're not applying for that.
Exactly.
And if you do, you know that if whoever applies for that role, give them the job.
Yeah.
Give them the job because they've said it. Like there's no beating around the bush. There's no hiding anything. So that's a great point.
It's a great, and I think if I remember correctly, I didn't specifically write it down, but I think they all returned back safely because they were all there up for the challenge. You know what I mean? It
was an expedition to the Antarctic.
Yeah.
In I think earlier 20th century. That's what they were doing. I think so. Yeah. It's like what you don't want to do is you don't want to hire people. You don't want to do a fluffy job ad, which will get a lot of people to apply, but they're all the wrong people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're not going to hire any of them, or they might not even stay. Once they realise what time it is, they say, no, I don't want to do it. You've now got to go and do another job ad. Do you see what I mean? So it's better to just lay your cards on the table, as he's done, and then even if you only get 5, that's supposed to be the right 5.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So you've saved yourself so much time.
Exactly. And he started with, why. The only thing I did find though is that like that part there specifically, it didn't say like why. Why are we going on this crazy hike? It was given specific what to expect, but it didn't give specific why. So I felt like at times the why was missing in some of the examples, in particular that one. It's like, okay, why are we going on this crazy hike? That job advert to me could have been like, we're going on this crazy hike to reveal revolutionary data about the Antarctic. Or do you get what I mean? It's anyway, one of the things he says is the companies we love to do business with are also have the best employees. And I want to ask you a question because I can think of this. So maybe I'll ask you and then I'll answer my own question. Can you think of a company with great employees that you perhaps go and shop at or buy from? And I can specifically think of, so now I'm going to answer my own question. And I specifically think of Snappy Snaps when I think of this. And I don't actually necessarily know across all branches, but I know specifically one branch that I go to, and I've gone there for Christmas presents the last couple of years. They're not the cheapest. They're not the cheapest. I know that I could probably get photographs and stuff cheaper elsewhere, but every time I go, the employees are always so helpful. Doesn't matter what staff member I've got. And I just go there because I know that I'm going to get good service. And it inspires me to keep shopping there, even though the price could be better. So I guess
you're not. He talks about manipulations, like of how companies can manipulate you through price and whatnot. But obviously, you're not being manipulated by price.
Yep. Let's talk about manipulations quickly because I had a good example of this.
Okay.
Where manipulations get me, but then when the manipulation is gone, it doesn't get me. So let's touch on what he means by manipulations. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on what he means by manipulations.
Yeah, a little bit. So companies have a flawed assumption as to what's driving customers. So they'll think, they lead on price. We'll be the cheapest in the market. So they think that people care about that on a wider scale. And I think he gave an example of, what's the shop in America? Not Costco. Costco doing it right. Walmart, I think it was Walmart. Yeah. So when the original Walmart was made, the founder of it, their why was that they wanted to kind of do affordable shopping, something like that. Like to kind of allow people to have access to these things. So they bought things in wholesale to sell it for cheaper, X, Y, Z. And that was the original why. And he talks about this later on in the book, where when that founder passed on, because for whatever reason, they weren't able to get that, to inspire other people to come in and work that had those same values. They just became price driven. So it just became like, well, we just want to be the cheapest and then it just becomes a conflict of interest. And it's, then you're dealing, working to the bottom kind of thing. So that's an example of companies getting it wrong. So one of the two ways to influence human behavior is one via manipulation, price drops, peer pressure, or running promotions. So
fear as well, and celebrity endorsements.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so those are the things. So I didn't take notes for all of them, but manipulation leads to transactions, not loyalty. So if I want to buy glass cups and I know they're normally worth £50, but you've now reduced them to £25, I'll buy them now. But once they go back up, I'm not gonna make any more purchases. There's no brand loyalty there. And then peer pressure works where not because we think the experts are right, but because we fear we might be wrong. So manipulating, like you said, using now, you've got, influencers. So they tell you buy this, buy that. So you're buying it based on that manipulation. Like, oh, this person uses it, this person has endorsed it, so it must be good. I want to, for all those other reasons. And then price always costs something. So price drops, quite straightforward. Let's give an example that I read actually. So that was that. And then the way to count, did you want to speak about that?
Yeah, price drops. Well, just basically on my experience as a manipulation, where the manipulation works on me, but when the price goes back up, it doesn't. So I like Nature Valley bars. I'll wax them off, man. I'll eat. Yeah. Anyway, that's one of my snacks that I like. Nature Valley bars, cup of tea. When they're on club card price and special offer, I'll buy them. Yeah. But when they're not, I'm not paying the extra that the price that they go back up to. And if they had started off with no discount, and I had started off buying them like that, it's like, oh, that's the price. Yeah. I like them, I'm gonna eat them. But they've got my loyalty based on their price. Yeah. I do like them, but I'm not gonna pay the full price because you always put them down to discount the price. So it's like, the manipulation leads to the transactions, but not loyalty. Yeah. And that's what he says. Yeah. So it's like, I think part of the thing as well, especially in business, like, be careful when putting your prices or giving discounts and stuff like that, because now that might be what's expected.
No, it affects. I mean, you said it perfectly. It affects it because if just that per example, if you're constantly cutting prices, people just wait. Well, they go on sale every other month, so I'll just wait until then. So and really, you don't want people to be buying from you based on the fact that you reduce your prices, because again, you're kind of racing to the bottom. In the industry I was working before, prices drop. Then you drop your price, then guess what? They drop their price, and then guess what? You drop their price. And it's like, no, where's the money? No one's making money, it's just race to the bottom. It's ridiculous. But what he says, a good way to get loyalty is by inspiring them. Inspiration. Again, start with why. Do you see what I mean? So, again, loads of examples, but if you can inspire people to kind of be valued, it doesn't matter if Tyler's price is this much, it doesn't matter. With the snappy snaps, like you said, they're not the cheapest, but the customer service is so good. That's inspired you, and you kind of you buy into that really, because when you go there, you got an expectation, and they always live up to expectation. Because you could do. There's so many options you have now with things like that. So that was I enjoyed that.
I want to go back to the Walmart guy that you spoke about, because there was a new leader that was brought in to try and bring Walmart back to its original values of people first and ROI, and what I found funny, like I literally laughed out loud when I read it, was, do you know what I'm going to say? Yeah. And he said something like, and by doing that, when he joined in the job role, he started himself off with a big, hefty salary. Yeah. And I can't remember what the salary was. Did you write it down?
No, but just some background on that. The original founder of Walmart had a low salary. Yes. That's why it's relevant. So he had a low salary, and because again he wanted to put the money into the organization, XYZ. So that was the kind of individual he was. That he was the CEO, he was in charge. Yeah. He could have paid himself whatever he wanted. Yeah. He's in charge, and he just chose to give himself a low salary.
A low salary for a CEO.
Yeah, a low salary for a CEO. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the kind of individual, the character of the person. They're selfless in that sense. Now fast forward, this new guy is coming in to make big changes and put people first. And what's the first thing he does?
Gives himself a massive pay rise or massive salary. It's like,
that's what I mean. So then even like when you're looking up, so the people that are now working for this guy, do you think they're not going to talk about it and be like, well, I'm getting paid this much.
Yeah.
You know, and that's again about leadership and leaders. You know, obviously he's entitled to, you can value yourself for what you think you want to value, but that's always going to have a knock-on effect. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and I think this book especially, you know, business is always changing, my organisation is always changing, things are always changing. So whenever I read these books, I'm always going to hold a mirror up to myself and hold a mirror up to people around me as well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I've looked at and I've seen different types of leaders, and I've seen people that are quite close to me, people that are not so close to me, and I've kind of looked and I think, okay, this is that type of leader where they think, respect my position. You know, they're just trying to lead or kind of force you to lead them because you kind of have no choice because the hierarchy is what it is. But that's not that's not actually leadership, in my opinion. And that's not the kind of leader that I want to be. Do you see what I mean? So it's like I try my best to be, you kind of got a role reversal to some degree. So you kind of got to be like, okay, yes, I'm the leader, but I'm actually trying to cater for you guys so we can cater again for that goal, because I know that if I'm trying to inspire my staff or try to inspire the people on my team, the reason I'm doing that is because I want to achieve this goal, what I said the goal is. And we're gonna get there quicker if we're all on the same page, or if we listen to each other, we felt heard, if we felt not. And then that's gonna then inspire that trust and that loyalty, and it goes both ways, as opposed to like, well, I'm in charge, I don't really care how you feel, this is what, you know, like that sort of thing, drill sergeant sort of vibe. So yeah.
And I think I think partly it's your natural disposition, but also from your learnings is that you've kind of embodied that in your company. Like he says, energy motivates, but charisma inspires.
Yeah.
And looking at your organization, like I see people that look inspired to work there. They look like they're part of the journey. Do you know what I mean? They're happy to be part of the journey, from my observation anyway. So it's like, it's nice to see, man. It's like, it's nice to see.
No, thank you. I think he puts it, so it's a bit abridged, but leading is not the same as being a leader. Being a leader means that you hold the highest rank. Leading means that others willingly follow you, not because they are paid to, but because they want to. Yeah. And that's basically it. So I mean, so yeah, man, and that's important. I think once you realise that, it's quite powerful. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I personally think.
Yeah. You wanted to touch on, over the last 12 months, our top 3 books.
Yes, I did.
We're going to come back to this book in a moment, but we're going to talk about our top 3 books over the last 12 months very quickly, and in order of 3 to 1. 3, 2, 1. Yeah,
cool.
You first?
Yes.
3. Yeah.
The Millionaire Teacher.
That was your third best book?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to give a quick, short snippet on why?
Because I think the book was great. I think anyone that disagrees with me needs to get their head examined. Don't you think? No, joking. No, I think the book was good, man. It's life lessons. As much as, you know, it's important to know what's the review, and you'll get the full background on it. But
I'll put the review in the link.
Thank you. But yeah, no, and again, the book had an impact on me, like personally. So yeah, I think it was a great book. Don't you think so, T?
Okay. Well, we'll come on to that another time. Watch the review if you want to know about my opinion on that book. But for 3, and third place for me, my rationale for these orders as well is like, now moving on, however far after reading the books, what impact they've had on my life. So for me, 3 was Full Time to Fulfilled by Matt Crabtree. That book just gave me great reminders. I mentioned a quote earlier in this episode from that book, but actually I've been a bit more active on LinkedIn because of that book. And that has actually my activity on LinkedIn has actually led to work. Yeah. So that's had a direct positive impact on my life and my business. And I think it was just a good book, to be honest. So yeah, that's 3. Number 2. That
was going to get a special mention for me, by the way.
Honourable mention, yeah.
Honourable mention, yeah. Number 2, The Culture Map. Okay. Just because, one, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the review. It was nice with the guys. 2, it was an enlightening book, man. Yeah. I just, different culture. It's just enlightening. Like, it wasn't a book that I would ever normally even pick up or read, but I enjoyed the review and I enjoyed reading it, and some of the lessons as well was just interesting. It was just interesting.
Yeah. That's an honourable mention from me.
Really?
It didn't make my top 3.
Okay.
But I also enjoyed that book. It could have been 3, but yeah, honourable mention for me. For me too, was What Doesn't Kill Us. What Doesn't Kill Us by Scott Carney. even though Scott Carney seems like he's a bit of a madman, and he's gone on this rage against Wim Hof and the world and whatnot. But the book, it motivated me to look over. We done Tough Mudder a few months ago. So it's like, that was a big challenge, and I got friends to do it. We got the community to do it.
Yeah, it was big day, man.
That inspired a lot of people, helped people overcome fears, achieve goals. And that's all down to...
Would you put that all down to the book?
Well, I don't put it all... That was the catalyst. Do you get what I mean? We read that book. They talk about a tough guy in it and Tough Mudder. We then decided to do Tough Mudder because of that book. I wouldn't put it like this. I'm very doubtful that I would have done Tough Mudder if I didn't read that book.
Yeah, fair. Okay, cool. That's cool.
So, yeah, and I remember enjoying it.
Yeah, no, Tough... Or the book.
Yeah,
yeah. No, it was a good book.
So that's 2.
Cool, 2.
Your top book.
I feel like we're going to have the same one.
I think so, over the last 12 months, top book.
Do you want to risk it? So we say it on 3?
Go on.
1, 2, 3.
Difficult conversations. Yes.
yeah.
Good.
So I mean, the book was big, man. And the book's like, that book has actually allowed me to just be a better husband, to be a better brother, to be a better son, to be a better CEO. Do you know what I mean? Like, real talk. Like, just more so, obviously, I don't remember everything, and a better friend. So I don't remember everything, but I remember it's just about going into things with curiosity.
Yeah.
And literally, I can think of so many examples of, especially within my business, within FFLY Read, where I've had to just be curious and not judgmental. And that's definitely, again, maybe it kind of, I just resonated a lot with that. And it kind of gave me, you know what it did? It gave me a framework. That's what it did. It gave me a framework of how to go into these difficult conversations. So yeah, number 1.
Yeah, life-changing book. Difficult conversations. In fact, at present, the time of recording this is our most viewed book review. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to go back and watch it. Life-changing book. You spoke about approaching things with curiosity. I like the fact that he talks about blame versus contribution. And actually, I've used the knowledge in that book to teach in my business. I've actually taken specific things and taught them to other people, and it's impacted them. They've been able to use it in their lives. So yeah, that book, life-changing.
Yeah, big.
So yeah, there you have it. Our top 3 books over the last, for 2024, they were our top 3 books in that year. We've got reviews on all 3 of them. Check them out. I've put the cards up, the links in the description box. But yeah, back to Simon Sinek.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the power pages? What you think? Like, what was your power of the pages in this book?
My power of the pages in this book. I think my power of the pages was actually just to approach things with the look of starting with why. And I'll give you an example. Yeah. I sent out a newsletter to my email list, and rather than sending out, this is what we're doing, I sent out why we're doing it.
Yes.
And
did it? Yeah.
And that particular campaign got slightly above average opens in comparison to some of my others. Now, there could be variable factors for it, but I do think just approaching certain things with the purpose of why has helped in terms of marketing content. So even with like posting on LinkedIn, I've like, sometimes I'll go to ChatGPT and say, look, this is what I want to say, but I want to approach it with starting with the meaning of why. Can you help me rephrase this in that way? And then it will come back with something, and that's better, that's articulated better than the way I've articulated it. I might change it. I mean, not I might, I will change it in some ways just to make it fit me properly. But for me, I think the power is, approaching things with why you're doing them and not what or how. And that's, for me, the essence of the book. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, no, that's deep, man. For me, I mean, look, there's a lot of gems in this book, and I know we've got a bit more time, so we can go over the others. But for me, I'm kind of it reminded me, there's a sentence or a paragraph in this book or a bit in this book where it reminded me of a conversation I had with Nat. See, Nat's a mutual friend. Like, she helped me so much with FFLY Read. We wouldn't be here now, how we are now, if it wasn't for Nat's input. And I remember she told me, was talking about salary, funny enough, about in relation to what we were talking about before, and how much I was paying myself at the time, XYZ. And it was basically, she was like, yeah, Chris, you know, you're really passionate now, and you know, you're happy to work for what you're working for at the moment, but you need to give yourself a pay rise, XYZ. And we were kind of not debating, but obviously she talks, I listen. So I was like, she made some good points. I gave her my reason, my rationale, and she was like, yeah, but you know, that's not gonna last. It's gonna run out. The passion's gonna run out. When you know, obviously now I'm married, I've got a son, XYZ. You know, your life's gonna demand that you do that you're gonna need to pay yourself more. So okay. So anyway, that was a conversation we had. So then reading this part kind of reminded me of that. And I think this is for anyone that's kind of like, because you go through stages. There's startup stage, then you go, and that's to be the plan of any startup, should be to grow, right? To get bigger. You don't want to remain a startup forever.
Yeah.
So in chapter 9, he says, the chapter's called Know Your Why, Know Your How, and Then What? And it says, as the organization grows, the leader's role changes. He will no longer be the loudest part of the megaphone. He'll be the source of the message that is to flow through the megaphone. So also with that, it's like, that's what you're trying to do, trying to inspire your people that are working with you, trying to be, you know, put other people in positions, let other people get the praise. Everyone knows what you do. It kind of speaks for itself. So there's also like, so what he talks about as well is like making it possible to do that. And that was basically, that was the power of Pages for me. So just your role changing as you go. As you grow, the role changes.
So basically putting other people in the positions to inspire others, to carry forward the message. The
legacies, you know, it's all about storytelling or whatnot, but yeah, essentially putting other people in position, let them, you don't have to be the loudest person in the room. Like you said about charisma, being, you know, you don't have to come in, everyone thinks you have to be animated and the loudest and have all the jokes and be the, you know, the energy. Sometimes, yeah, your position's called for that, but at other times, it's not. You can let someone else, that should be it, you know, it's like, let them fly. You teach them and you've given them all your guidance and mentored them and all that kind of stuff. Let them do what they've been trained to do. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was that, man. So that was the power of the Pages for me. There was another few bits that, one that was quite funny to me. It was a quote from Thomas Friedman. I don't know who that is, but it's a quote from him. And it says, the pessimists are usually right, but the optimists change the world. And like, you know when you have them conversations with people.
Say that again, man. Say it for the people in the back.
The pessimists are usually right, but it's the optimists that change the world. And I think that's heavy.
Yeah.
Because everyone can come and give you a million reasons, and they might think they sound really smart. It's like, oh, that's why. When people give me stuff, I never shut people's ideas down. I must say, for me, I don't really get it, but cool, go for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's like, everyone can tell you, oh, that won't work because of that. That won't work because of that. And you might think you're sounding super smart at that time, but it's obvious. Do you know what I mean? So really, it's the people that are optimistic and being a visionary and being a leader and whatnot. They're the ones that actually make a real impact, and they're the ones that people talk about and get remembered. Yeah. Because of the impacts that they've made and the changes that they've made. There's a million examples. Do you know what I'm saying?
And to touch on that, just another quick quote: "If you think you can or think you can't, you're right." Simple as. If you think you can do it, go for it. You can. If you think you can't, well, then you can't, innit? You need to believe in yourself to get going, right? Yeah. So, yeah, there was one other story that I wanted to touch on quickly. Was a lady who worked for a debt collector, and this was a big why. She worked for a debt collector, and it changed her into a rude and aggressive person because she was constantly having to chase debts, and she didn't enjoy that feeling of debt collecting. So she decided to create a polite debt collector company focused on listening and understanding. Because she was a nice person, she wanted that to align with her why, her why of being kind and being generous and being nice. So she measured her employees' results by how many thank you cards they sent out to the people who paid back the money. Yeah. This company, they had a 300% better success rate than the industry average.
Crazy.
Simply by calling up oh, look, we know you're late on your payment. You know, what's going on? Tell us. So they're listening, they're approaching it with empathy.
Yeah.
0 degrees of empathy, check that out. But they're approaching it with empathy, like, and it's helped people to pay. Quick story, actually. I had someone employed as part of a Kickstart program. However long ago.
Yeah.
And their thing ran out after 6 months. I used the agency to do it. And basically, they submitted an extra week's worth of pay that I couldn't afford, or not that I couldn't afford to pay, but that was supposed to be covered by the government. But actually, because they did an extra week, I had to pay for it. On the form, they send out a form. I have to click accept or decline as to whether, like, I accept that they've done those hours. Anyway, so when the form come, I put, it declined. They didn't do those hours, so decline. Anyway, the company already paid them. They already paid the employee. I'm like, yeah, but I pressed decline. And they're like, yeah, but in the terms and conditions, it says, you have to email us if you Anyway, the person emailing me was so empathetic. Their email language was so kind and understanding. It's like, no, look, we understand, but otherwise it's going to come out of our money, blah 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 blah. Anyway, I paid it. But in my head, I was adamant I wasn't going to pay. I was like, I said decline. But they were so good with their words that I paid it. So anyway, in their case, they were like a debt collector. Right. Let's move on to our difficulty and star rating.
Yeah. My book, so I'll
your
start.
book, yeah.
Difficulty first. Difficulty rating. No, I'll give it was a 2. It wasn't difficult. I like Simon Sinek's writing style. He does go off a bit, like, there's some randomness in there sometimes, I think. But I think he writes how he talks, because I've watched a few of his interviews, but his brain works in such a it's very interesting. But yeah, 2. A 2. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't find it difficult to read.
Okay, I gave it a 3.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't find it an easy read. It wasn't crazy difficult, but yeah, it wasn't easy. Yeah. It wasn't easy.
I'm trying not to do 0.5s anymore. Okay. So really, I would have given it 2.5. It was 2 or 3, but I chose a 2. But yeah.
Okay. Any reason for that? No.
I just want to be just.
You just want to be whole.
I just want to be whole, man. You get me?
All right. Well, I'm still going to be split.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, star rating.
Star rating, 4.
4.
4. Yeah, it's a good book, man. I think I prefer this to. I know we're not comparing the books, obviously, but to Leaders Eat Last, I prefer this. I can't remember what score I gave that one, but it's a 4. It's not quite a 5 for me, and I think that's because of his kind of randomness, but the message is so simple as well. Like, it's there for you, and there's some good examples, and it's definitely a book if you're a startup. I know, like, thankfully, people that do watch our reviews buy books based off our recommendation. So if you've ever bought a book off our recommendation before, definitely, I think, buy this one if you've agreed with us in the past. Like, so yeah, I'll say a 4. What about yourself?
I was torn. Valuable book. This is a very valuable, knowledgeable book. And lots of leaders reference this book, and actually it can be so impactful. I was torn between a 3.5 and a 4. I think the 3.5 side of it was, he goes on a lot about about Apple. And it's like, all right, bro. Like, can you give us some more other companies that are... He does touch on other companies as well, but it's Apple heavy, man. It's like, he may as well be sponsored by Apple. He may as well put, like,
the logo on it.
I'm sponsored by Apple in it. So it was quite Apple heavy. But I say all that to say, I think we'll keep with the year of the upvote, man. I think I'll go with a 4. I think I'll agree with you.
Okay.
We'll have an agreement on this book.
Starting the year off right.
Yeah. So yeah, 4. Yeah. Good book. Worth reading if you're a business owner, if you're a leader, if you manage people. Yeah, good book.
Yeah, I think as well, just last thing to add, like, he mentioned, this is anyone that's trying to grow their business or trying to actually grow, because there's different, you've got self-employed, but if you're actually trying to own a business, he talks about the school bus test. And basically, if you're the leader of your business and you got knocked over by a school bus tomorrow, how long would your business survive without you? And that's a really big question you need to ask. You know, how confident are you that your business will survive a day, a month, a year, 10 years, whatever? And that's, again, starting with why, trying to build that inspiration so you inspire the right people that are still working for you and can get the legacy going on or whatnot. So, yeah, man. So the school bus test, think about it. Think about it.
So next book, we are reviewing That Will Never Work. It's by one of the co-founders of Netflix. I imagine many of you watch Netflix, so we thought we'd read, or I thought, yeah, let's get a book on the founder's journey. And yeah, this is the power of pages.
We review books.
You forgot?
Yeah, I did.